Students today back at Florida International University after that deadly bridge collapse left 6 people dead. Hours before that accident, engineers had held a meeting to discuss the bridge's safety, concluding it was safe despite some cracking. And we learned on Friday that 2 days prior to that, an engineer had left a message for a Florida Department of Transportation employee about the cracks. Take a listen.
Hey, Tom, this is Denny Pate with Big Bridge Engineers. I was calling to share with you some information about the FIU pedestrian bridge and some cracking that's been observed on the north end of the span, the pylon end of that span we moved this weekend. So we've taken a look at it, and obviously some repairs or whatever will have to be done. But from a safety perspective, we don't see that there's any issue there. So we're not concerned about it from that perspective, although obviously the cracking is not good and something's going to have to be, done to repair that.
The state employee who was on assignment at the time got that message the day after the collapse. The NTSB says the crack did not necessarily mean the bridge was unsafe. Their investigation is expected to take several months. Meantime, the first lawsuit filed this morning. According to the Miami Herald, a bicyclist who was seriously injured is seeking damages, alleging reckless negligence on the part of the design and construction companies. We did reach out to the attorney who says he is filing that suit. We have not heard back from him nor his law firm. Joining me now is criminal defense attorney Bob Bianchi. So, Bob, when we look at this, there are a number of questions that pop to mind. But first, I just want to go with what we know from the attorney who tweeted this morning, just about 8:30 this morning, about the suit that he says is coming this afternoon, that they'll talk more about, saying it is, quote, imperative to secure critical documentation and data. How does a lawsuit do that when this investigation is still ongoing? Don't they need that documentation and data themselves for the investigation?
Yeah, unlike me when I was a prosecutor, I could just issue a subpoena and get data. Unfortunately, for civil attorneys, they have no jurisdiction with the court in order to secure information and preserve evidence unless they file a lawsuit. Once the lawsuit's filed, they then have subpoena power through the court. And as a civil attorney myself, when I've handled construction accident cases, I want to find out as much as I can before things get lost accidentally on purpose. And I want to be able to know who the witnesses are and who I can sue and amend the complaint to add additional parties down the road. So it was a smart move by them.
You bring up the point who you can sue. I also want to bring in Wendy Murphy's also with us as well. Wendy, you want to figure out who you can sue, but is it too soon to file a lawsuit now, only days afterwards, when we don't yet know who those parties are?
Well, it's not really too soon, although I guarantee you the complaint will be amended to name more specifically the individuals who might be responsible, because that we definitely don't know yet. But, you know, the company that built the bridge, we know who they are. We know their name, and you can sue them because the buck stops with them. And you can safely assume as a plaintiff's attorney that by suing them, there will be some accountability there. Now, they may bring in other parties. They might say it wasn't us, it was the guy who made the cement, or the person who made the bolts, or the team of people that put the bolts together in the cement. I mean, who knows? But they are the responsible party primarily, and you can say in your complaint, we are hereby suing the company that built the bridge and other individuals to be named later. That's perfectly reasonable. And of course, you know, the lawyer wants to file fast because there are lots of other lawsuits here, and he wants their cases too.
And he wants their cases too. Is there a benefit too to being first, Bob?
There's a benefit to being first for a number of reasons, and I agree with what Wendy is saying, but you want this media inertia here because Florida has laws that are kind of anti-plaintiff, unlike New York and New Jersey, which are pro-plaintiff. So you want to keep that media wave going, the agitation here, and you file first. You may get additional clients, but my experience has been this is the way you get the data sooner than later so that you can amend what we call John and Jane Doe aspects of the complaint and institute real people there.
And Wendy, in terms of damages, the other reason I ask is this a little too soon, is we don't know the full extent, right, of everyone's injuries. We don't know the full impact that it is going to have on their lives moving forward, let alone those who lost loved ones, right, in this.
Right.
So how do you even begin to establish that part, or is that as well something that will come later?
Very important question, because for some people, the damages are now, like the plaintiff in this case was injured but not killed, and he may need money now. You want to file quickly because his medical bills are going to start to accumulate, and he wants to get to the end of the lawsuit as soon as possible so that he doesn't become bankrupt by his injuries. On the other hand, there are people who might suffer some injuries now, and they'll continue to suffer additional injuries in the future. And that's the sort of case where you might want to wait a year or two before filing. However, even filing today, if the plaintiff who was injured on his bike continues to suffer injuries, it's not like the clock stops and he can only collect for the injuries he was suffering on the day he sued. Of course, he can continue to accumulate injuries, and that's going to, continue to mount as a bill against the defendant when the lawsuit ends. This lawsuit is not going to end for many years, and there will be lots and lots of plaintiffs, and they'll all end up together under the same roof in the same courthouse, likely with the same judge, even if multiple lawyers are involved, because it's efficient that way, and ultimately there's going to be one responsible party.
We will be watching for that, and also, too, be watching in the coming weeks and even months, as we heard, to get the findings of that investigation. Bob Bianchi, Wendy Murphy, appreciate it. Thank you.